Hey everybody, this is Robin.
This is Luke.
And this is Christof, and you are listening to part two of the Rogue Plague, our deep dive into the Leviathan Vault, and playing some episodes that we did about 15 years ago that haven't really been released. And we're really excited to bring you this next installment.
If you listen to part one of the Rogue Plague, you know this is kind of a medieval detective story, a real change of pace from Internal Affairs, the story you heard last month. Part one ended with Evangeline reminiscing to her days back in Sumner Talk and lighting her old village in fire. And part two, we're going to go right back to Scotland, where we're going to learn a lot more about Harlequinn's early history and the early history of Angus MacKay and how he met Evangeline. A lot like these other old episodes we've been listening to, this was kind of a weird in-between space for our production process. We were still half audiobook, half audio drama, but you're still to hear us playing around with more sort of like montagey techniques, where we're kind of playing the narrator against the dialogue and the sound effects. You'll also hear like some great horror motifs in this one too. You'll hear at the beginning of each part of the Rogue Plague, actually, we have these fun little horror vignette scenes to introduce the episode. So you heard one last week that starred, I believe, Christof and his mother as some medieval peasants, and you'll hear another one this week where we cast Luke, actually.
One of my, listening back to this, I really do feel this is one of my top acting performances in all of the Leviathan Chronicles.
I agree.
I really bought it. It just maybe I missed my calling as like a horror movie victim actor.
You're a scream queen, really.
One thing that I really noticed listening back to this one is that I noticed moments when both Christof as the writer, although this one was co-written with Lafferty too, right?
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
Christof and as the writing team, and myself as the composer for this one. It was one of the first things I wrote music for. I noticed that we were all kind of guilty of doing a lot of sort of telling instead of showing in our approach. I noticed that in that like long montage scene that Robin mentioned, you'll hear it. It's like a long sort of dinner conversation. I was listening to my music and I was just like, man, I really hadn't learned yet how to sort of like take a step back and like let things breathe. I noticed that the score was just kind of like trying to do all these like really like interesting melodic things like the whole time, and it was just kind of had to be like mixed really low so you could still hear what was going on. And just was interesting to hear that compared to sort of my approach in more recent episodes, where I've kind of gotten better at taking a step back and letting things kind of like be more moody and atmospheric. And then also I noticed in terms of the writing, like the use of narrator has like just really evolved so much over the years. Like these old episodes, I noticed our narrator Sam just coming out and just saying in a lot of instances like what the characters were thinking. I don't want to spoil the episode for people, but just listen for that. It's something that we would never do in a more modern version of these, but it really is kind of more of like an audiobook type approach.
It's something you'll hear us come back to again and again as we listen through these old episodes. Is I think we're all just struck by how much more of an audiobook we were making back then than we realized. Not that that's a bad thing, and we've gotten some great comments on our Spotify from people telling us how much they actually enjoy that style. So I actually still quite enjoy listening to these episodes.
Me too.
And I think Rogue Plague is still a really fun story to listen to.
Yeah, it's going back to the cold open. Like I was really struck by, we're not a horror podcast. We're science fiction. We're alternate world, but we did some great monster sounds in this. I was really kind of happy with like how kind of Halloweeny and scary monster sounds that we were able to pull off, and I thought that was something that struck me.
The cold open for this one is especially fun because we said it stars Luke, but to be clear, Luke is the only actor in this cold open. It is a single character cold open of Luke kind of being stalked by this monster who you kind of sense in the distance, but
way to carry it, Luke. I love that.
It's a really fun scene. Without further ado, here comes part two of the Rogue Plague.
Please enjoy.
Jacob Scott walked home from the one pub in the town, having won several arm wrestling bets. He'd bought the whole pub a round of ale and left with considerable money weighing down his pockets. He was in fine spirits as he walked, whistling gaily. North of Edinburgh, one didn't see much in the way of banditry on the highways, so he didn't worry about much beside what to do when the beer indicated its need to leave his body. As he relaxed and relieved himself on the side of the road, he suddenly heard an odd rustling in the woods beside him.
Hello? Is someone there?
He frowned and peered into the woods, the dim moonlight unable to cut through the trees. He hadn't known of many wolves in these parts, but that didn't restrict his imagination from taking advantage of the darkness on this remote road. The tiny hairs on the back of his neck pricked upwards as he heard a low, guttural growl, not from any beast he'd ever seen. He quickly finished and backed up to the road, walking swiftly without looking back, reminding himself that beasts often took direct eye contact as a challenge. He quickened his gait as he heard a thump on the road behind him, the unmistakable sound of 2 feet dashing towards him.
No! Stay back!
Jacob broke into a run himself, desperate to get away and too terrified to look around. A creature howled behind him and Jacob cried out in terror, imagining he could feel its breath on the back of his neck. He heard a swipe break through the cold night air and felt his shirt catch on something sharp, but thankfully it didn't scratch his skin. He forced himself to run faster and then got the sixth sense that this creature, whatever it was toying with him. Jacob began to weep in fear as his steps became clumsy because of his drunkenness and terror. He stumbled and fell hard on his chest. Gasping for breath, he scrambled to his feet. As he leapt up, he finally stole a glance at his pursuer, which loomed over him. The creature blocked the moon, but Jacob could clearly see a scarlet halo caused by the moonlight and the beast's bright red skin.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners. Holy Mary, Mother...
The Rogue Plague. A Leviathan Chronicles story. Part 2.
Evening, sir. Father Harlequinn, I presume.
I am. I'm afraid I don't have the honor of...
Oh, sorry, sir. I'm Angus McKay, captain of the Salty Crow. That's my ship there. Miss Evangeline asked me to fetch you and escort you to dinner, which will be on the Crow.
On your ship?
Miss Evangeline prefers her conversations to be private.
Ah, so I noticed. I had wondered why she was staying so close to the docks. She charters your ship, then?
Aye. She employs me as innkeeper, captain, and cook. Tonight I hope the lamb is to your liking.
I'm sure it will be. Thank you. Angus, is it? Before we board, what can you tell me of your employer, Evangeline? From where does she hail?
Part of what Miss Evangeline pays for, and pays very well for, I don't mind saying, is her privacy and my confidence. Something she doesn't tell me, and what she does, I'm not at liberty to say.
I can respect your dedication to her.
Then again, who knows what might come from a late night with several pints in me. The lady is waiting down below, Father.
Angus winked at Harlequinn and led him aboard the ship and down to the hold, which had been redecorated to look very much like a pub inside of a homey inn, with rich portraits on the wall, stools bolted to the floor next to a large leather-padded bar, and glasses that locked into place using an innovative wooden cage-like apparatus. Angus gestured to a table and bench that had also been bolted to the floor and lit 2 thick candles.
Extraordinary. I've never seen a ship's mess this welcoming.
Evangeline requested it and paid for the carpenters herself. Just have a seat, I'll tell the lady you're here.
Harlequinn sat somewhat nervously on the bench and looked around at the odd wall art, consisting of a broken anchor, a painting of an overly eager mermaid that, while masterfully done, still made him feel uncomfortable, and on the far wall, a rich mural of an angry, colossal squid battling a brigantine ship. Over the bar was a silhouette of a crow in flight, with a carved wooden sign saying "The Salty Crow" underneath. 10 minutes later, Harlequinn turned as Angus opened the bar's door for Evangeline, and the priest suddenly found himself grateful that the low light of the bar hid the rapid flush in his face. She had shed the brown travelling dress she sported earlier, and now wore a white, slender gown with gold trim around the seams. Her scarlet hair was tied backwards with a pale ribbon, revealing her lissom neck. He had seen the rich, noble women of Edinburgh, many of whom bowed before him at Mass, but none carried themselves like this woman, with power and confidence. Harlequinn smiled his benign, welcoming priest smile, and rose to greet Evangeline. He took her hand in both of his, fighting the impulse to caress the slender, uncalloused fingers.
I'm so pleased you could come, Father. I'm sure we'll be more comfortable here. Did Angus get you some of his wonderful beer?
Not yet.
I was just about to, miss.
Thank you for inviting me, Evangeline. But as for comfort, this is your home of sorts, not mine.
Of course. But if we touch on the subject of heresy, I'm sure you'd be more comfortable talking about it here than in your church or local tavern with prying eyes and ears.
I warn you that I won't tolerate blasphemy no matter how sumptuous the surroundings. However, helping the poor and sick is never heresy.
I challenge you to tell Pope Paul that when next you see him.
His Holiness is a severe man at times, but these are severe days.
I will concur with you there, Father, but will point out that he still would disagree with your statement of heresy. The Crusades and the Inquisition killed plenty of innocents in the name of your God.
Here you are, Father. A pint of my best red.
Did you invite me here to insult the church? I thought you were interested in saving lives.
Of course not, Father. I merely underscore that there is a plague growing that people are afraid to speak of. They are therefore dying because of their silence. I believe you to be a man who can help. I meant no disrespect to you.
I cannot sit idly by while you insult the church. I could report you as a heretic right now.
Harlequinn stared at Evangeline, challenging her with his sternest look, and she merely sat back, relaxed, with a slight smile on her face. She was calling his bluff.
Try the beer, Father. It's quite good. And let's not ruin our lamb by arguing. I wish to learn more about you.
Evangeline tapped her finger on the table, judging him. She signaled to Angus, who obediently brought 2 more pints of beer. Harlequinn had barely touched the first.
Father, I will make a deal with you. And the deal will not offend you, your church, or your pope. I will swap stories with you, 1 for 1. It will keep the dinner conversation interesting, and we may learn a few things about each other that we didn't know before.
Agreed, but I go first.
Of course.
Let's start with who you are and where you're from.
Very well. My name is Evangeline Leifreik. I'm originally from Norway, from a small village in the mountains that values reason and learning. I was trained there as a healer. Sadly, I left there many years ago, and as I told you, I now live in a faraway city to the south. One you likely haven't heard of. I live among thinking people who dedicate their existence to science and learning as well as the betterment of all men.
And the name of this city?
Ah, no, Father. It's my turn now. Tell me of your childhood. From where did you come, and why did you join the church?
Hardly much of a tale to tell. I was born to the south of Edinburgh to questionable parents. I was abandoned at the doors of the convent of Mary's Grace and raised by the nuns who resided there. One could say that my path to the church has been set since the day I was born. Your comments about my love of reason are interesting, though. The nun who had the main task of raising me was Sister Mary-Louise, a woman of great learning who felt her mental acuity was a gift from God. She showed me how learning and education about God's world honored him.
Fascinating. And the church didn't disapprove of this forward-thinking woman?
Sister Mary-Louise is a formidable woman. The nuns pronounced me a man at 12 and determined I was too old to be raised among them, and they then decided my path would be with the priesthood. It was certainly my best path for an education for someone not nobly born. I've been here since.
So they determined your path? You did not?
It was all I knew. The church is my family. My life is here. My very soul is here. And when I die, it will be among my brothers and sisters of the cloth, and God will welcome me. I consider myself very blessed.
After all you've done for the church, I would hope so. You helped complete the church in which you now preside. For the last 3 harvests, you've convinced the local farmers to donate 10% of their crops to the poor. And most importantly, during the last outbreak of coughing flu, you broke with church doctrine and saw to
I
it that...
believe it's my turn for a question. How do you know so much about me if you live in a city far away?
I have contacts in many cities that stand vigil, searching for possible allies. I especially have them looking out for members of the clergy and convent who will listen to a reasoned argument instead of refuse it out of rote scripture.
Do I know any of these contacts?
Perhaps, but I'll reveal that if we've made a closer friendship, I think.
And what makes you so sure you can trust me?
Dinner is served.
Angus, this is a feast for a wedding.
My word, so much.
Ah, nothing to it. The salt air always stirs up the appetite. I hope you both like it.
Angus, this is delectable. Father Harlequinn, please enjoy your dinner and tell me more of daily life at church.
The tentative game of quid pro quo was now on hold, and Evangeline and Harlequin eagerly tucked into their delectable dinners.
I, too, have often had a strained relationship with the English.
Harlequin told Evangeline tales of his daily life at church, his studies of literature and herbs seemingly akin to her
I did
own.
administer a small salve in addition to fervent prayer.
As the two exchanged stories of their past, Harlequin described how his church in Edinburgh had become a place where the sick could turn when their local healers couldn't
Church
help.
doctrine be damned. My job as man of God is to ease the suffering of men.
Father Harlequin had developed a reputation for compassion and the ability to heal the weak of spirit and body.
Surely there was a time before the cloth when you must have indulged yourself.
After half an hour, he had relaxed, and both he and Evangeline began to share more jovial stories and laughter.
So I told that fat old Monsignor that if the stable was good enough for Jesus Christ himself, it's jolly well good enough for you.
And of course, Angus kept bringing them pints of his best red lager.
And then Mother Joan ran around the field shouting, "Reverend Easy, Harlequin!" Her English tended to flee when she got angry, and I'd never seen her so upset. I'd been so lucky to leap from the convent roof to the barn and hide in a haystack without hurting myself. She dropped my given name of Charles and started calling me Harlequin.
So, she had to finally find you, right? You couldn't stay in that haystack forever.
Oh, I stayed for quite a spell. I even missed Vespers that evening. But I finally came back that night, covered in hay and apologies. She lashed me for missing Vespers, then for stealing the cake. But enough stories. We're not here to discuss the larcenies of my youth, are we?
No, we're not.
You wish to discuss this plague to the north, yes?
I do.
You're here because 3 people were reported missing in Perthshire. Another 4 died of strange fever in Argyll.
You know, I'm surprised you accepted my words so quickly.
Like you, I have my own contacts within the church who know they can confide in me when it concerns matters that the bishop might disapprove of.
Fevers?
2 of the fevers were ruled demonic possessions by the officiating priest. The afflicted began speaking in tongues, and medical care was withheld at the order of the cardinal.
Stop it. There is one thing I don't understand. How can you, as a reasonable man, be so devout and yet still admit that there is willful ignorance within your church?
The actions of men within the church do not have any effect on whether the Lord is my God. Mary gave birth to Jesus, who was the savior of all mankind. The Inquisition, the Crusades, none of that has bearing on my core faith. My soul is on loan from God himself, and it will return to him when I die. The Pope, the Cardinal, or the Bishop have nothing to do with that.
That sounds like heresy. Wouldn't the Pope excommunicate you based on that logic?
The Pope is infallible, in theory, so yes, it's heresy. Perhaps that is why I don't tell him when I dine with him. And I trust you won't tell him the next time you visit Italy.
Your secret is safe. So, you have your contacts, I have mine. What did yours say?
Well, they confirmed your story. There is indeed a strange sickness, and some have claimed it's from the devil, striking only the evil among us. Never mind that it strikes down women, children, and even one priest. We do not know what causes it or how it is transmitted, but fear is becoming a bigger factor than the disease itself, fear of both death and the church. The families of the afflicted are being shunned by their communities.
What do your people say about the disease?
The symptoms were identical to what you described. It seems deadly to nearly all who contract it. Those who it doesn't kill, well, the church is taking care of certain matters.
That's exactly what frightens me. This disease can also spread like wildfire. Listen to me, Father Harlequin. If this disease is not stopped quickly, it could wipe out half the population of Scotland.
Lady Evangeline, if you know so much more about this disease, why come to me? Why do you need me, a small priest in the...
Because I need a man of the cloth to help me. I have the means to cure this disease using a rare saffron extraction. The treatment is expensive, and while I have the means to produce mass quantities, the source of such a cure will be questioned and scrutinized, especially coming from a woman. If the healing comes from me, I'm a witch. If it comes from you, you're the healing hand of God. If news of the plague comes from me, it's sent by the devil to all who are deserving. If it comes from you, then it's a scourge that must be feared and eradicated before it spreads, just like the plague of Justinian. I've been accused of being a witch before. I assure you it is unpleasant and untrue. I came to you because I thought I could prevail upon you as a man of reason, a man of compassion, as well as a man of God, to help those who are suffering. Believe me, I'm not proud that I have to ask for help in doing something I'm perfectly capable of handling myself.
Harlequinn leaned back in his chair, finished off his beer, and appraised her. The summer sun had set outside, leaving them nothing but candlelight to see by. Angus was absent, almost conspicuously so.
Evangeline, if I may be so bold, I wonder what you're not telling me. It's clear there is something. For all I know, you could be a plant sent from Rome to weed out any subversives in the clergy.
Would your Pope be so underhanded?
He's done worse.
I can only think of one or two ways I can fully convince you that I am not a tool of your Pope, and that would require me to put more trust in you than I am prepared to do.
So, we are at an impasse.
Apparently, but I have a suggestion. Travel with me to the north. I've received word that there has been an outbreak 3 days' journey from here. If we set sail tomorrow, we can get there before the victims meet their end. We could investigate this plague together and see if we can cure it. Perhaps, in that time, we can also learn to trust each other.
Perhaps. Of course, I will need to discuss it with the Cardinal. He may want to meet the person behind this expedition.
I understand. Bennu can be my proxy. He was once a man of God like yourself.
Once?
Perhaps he still is. We do not discuss the matter very often.
You're quite possibly the most interesting heretic I have ever encountered.
And for a priest, you're quite reasonable. And your company quite pleasing.
I'll send word tomorrow regarding my answer, but I'm afraid I must retire for the evening. Your hospitality and meal have been quite lovely, but I must lead prayer in the early morning. Thank you, Evangeline.
Thank you, Father.
Evangeline and Harlequinn rose together and shook hands, and if either one held on longer than was appropriate, neither mentioned it. Harlequinn left the ship, his gait more relaxed than it had been in years. Evangeline's eyes followed him exiting through the ship's portal. She did not turn around when Bennu approached behind her.
Use caution, Evangeline. You do not have good luck when falling for a man of God.
I am courting an ally, not a lover.
I couldn't help but notice that you packed a small suitcase. Going somewhere, Evangeline?
I have a brief day trip tomorrow before we set sail.
Where, may I ask?
You may not ask. My comings and goings are not subject to your purvey.
Are you going to see him again?
Bennu, with whom I share a bed, is none of
I
your...
only ask because I don't trust him, and I concern myself with your safety. You seem to forget that I've been with you for centuries now. I know the signs. After one evening, you're looking at him like you used to look at Piter.
I would thank you not to mention him again. My beloved Piter has nothing to do with this, and this has nothing to do with us.
I would never be so presumptuous as to covet the prize Piter claimed.
No one claimed me as a prize. You know damn well I've always been my own woman, and I always will be.
Agreed. But as a Valkyrie leader, you also understood the benefits of collaboration, of partnership. We have been good partners, Evangeline.
Bennu, please.
I only ask that you consider my words. Only an immortal would understand the eternity that lies ahead, but only I understand where we've both been in the past.
Bennu, we're both not the same people we were in Sumnatalk.
No, we're not. You changed me forever. You gave me a new name, a new hope, a new chance, but you took so much away from me as well. No one could love a face as hideous as mine. No woman could ever...
Is this honestly the discussion you hope to have? To also discuss you trying to murder me, exterminate the Scaradolf, and lead Piter to his death after...
Please, I'm sorry, my lady. As you said, we are not the same people we were in Sumnatalk. I only want you to know how much I value our friendship. I would never wish to bring you quick to anger, certainly not against me.
My temper is not quick.
Oh, Evangeline, I know you better than you think. With a handful of words, I can stoke that fire within you and make you ready to take on the Pope himself.
You have me there, old friend. Being so predictable to anger is a weakness I should really work on eradicating. Thank you for reminding me of my still very human reactions.
One of my many services.
You know, Bennu, I do value you. I couldn't do this without you. Sleep well, friend.
And you as well. But Evangeline...
Yes?
I don't trust the priest.
Good night, Bennu.
Good night.
A few candles had extinguished themselves, darkening the cozy pub room of the Salty Crow. The warm feeling that Evangeline had been nursing since dinner with Harlequinn had turned cold with the exit of Bennu. He was right. She did anger too predictably, which she knew could be used against her. She also found it difficult to trust easily, but felt she had a perfectly good reason for that, as the entire village she had trusted had turned against her. The only problem was, she couldn't tell if Bennu had been teasing, or if there was truth in his words. He still disapproved of her taking lovers, and as far as Evangeline knew, his own bed remained empty. She frowned and sat back down and toyed with her remaining half-glass of beer. Angus, his timing impeccable as always, came out to clear the table.
Is your guest gone, miss?
He is, and he wanted to bestow the highest compliments on your cooking. Excellent work, Angus.
Nothing doing. Pure pleasure to create.
Angus, I must take a day trip tomorrow before we set sail to the north. Can you arrange a horse for me by mid-morning?
I'll surely arrange it. Pack or riding?
Riding. My trip will take me several miles inland, but I should be back by sundown, and by then we should receive Father Harlequinn's answers to whether he will be our guest for our upcoming journey.
As you say, miss.
Angus, I wish we had more people like you where I'm from. Humble, taking pleasure in the things you create to make people content, and a friendly ear when one needs one.
Men such as I are not that hard to find.
You would be shocked to discover how untrue that statement is, Angus.
Angus shrugged, thinking that poor, salt-of-the-earth sailors were more common than this noble lady knew, but it was pointless to argue the fact. Evangeline was more widely travelled than Angus, who knew only the coastlines of England, Scotland and France, and a bit of Ireland and Wales. Evangeline rose from her deeply worn leather chair, stretched, and bade Angus good night. Perhaps it was the beer, or the late hour, or the preoccupation of her thoughts, but her keen senses failed to sense the lurking, silent presence of her second Bennu, who watched her keenly as she made her way to her chamber to retire for the evening. After he assured his bitter heart that she was going to sleep in an empty bed, he sought out Angus.
Angus, thank you for sharing their dinner with me. It was superb.
Of course, sire. Even the nobles can't eat a whole lamb between them, right?
Exactly. Angus, I need your help. Evangeline gave me some instructions regarding her trip tomorrow, but she failed to tell me where she was going, and I require her destination in order to do my work. Can you tell me where she's heading tomorrow?
The lady gave me no details. Just said to arrange for a riding horse for the morning, and she'd be gone all day.
Well then, can you arrange for me to have one as well? I may be called to testify to the Cardinal in order to bring the Father Harlequinn with us, and it presents a better image if I am on a horse.
Aye, all right. I can do that. You'll have a beastie by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Excellent. You're a good man, Angus.
Bennu clapped Angus on the back, who watched him go with a critical eye. Evangeline treated Angus, if not like an equal exactly, then at least like a man with some brains in his head. Bennu simply assumed he was a low-class idiot. Angus tolerated Bennu because the money was good and he admired Evangeline so greatly, but he could barely say he liked him. So when Bennu tried to worm out of him details of Evangeline's trip, he saw through the poor falsehood and decided to follow Bennu's instructions to the letter. If he wanted to create an illusion to make Bennu more convincing to the church, Angus decided he would contribute to that.
Morning, miss. Lovely day for travel.
So it is. Are we prepared for my trip?
Aye. I packed some bread and cheese as well as some lamb from last night. There's a water skin beside your satchel on deck, and the horse I selected is outside.
Wait, why are there two horses out there? No, wait, is that a mule?
Aye. Master Bennu requested an animal to ride if he were required to testify before the Cardinal to allow Father Harlequinn to join us, as he is masquerading as a Franciscan monk, one who took a vow of poverty. I decided a mule was most fitting.
And also quite incapable of keeping up with me on my horse, is that it?
Miss, the thought never once occurred to me.
Farewell, Angus. You are indeed a wonder. Mwah.
Evangeline did not see Bennu as the threat Angus did, but appreciated the captain looking out for her. Her sea legs hit solid ground with some awkwardness, but she recovered quickly and approached the stable boy, holding the horse and mule. She tipped him handsomely and took the horse, a fine, tall bay mare by the name of Star Baby, and mounted her with ease. She took off at a trot, admiring the city of Edinburgh as it awoke and began its day. But Edinburgh was not her destination. She instead headed to a small town to the south to visit one of her trusted and most secret contacts, a mole she'd placed so deep on the surface even Bennu was not aware. After a few hours of riding, Evangeline arrived at her destination, a small convent. Her old friend ran to meet her and they embraced tightly.
Mary-Louise, it's so good to see you.
And you, my old friend. I was delighted to get your message yesterday. Can I offer some refreshment? Care for your horse?
Please, but we have much to discuss and I fear I can't stay long. But firstly, how's your life here?
It's pleasant enough, considering I've been here for 40 years. I may need to die of an accident soon. It's becoming the topic of conversation more and more how young I look. They think I'm 57 and I still look 22. I think the bishops might accuse me of making a deal with a demon before too much longer.
I like how you've colored your hair and done your best to make your face look more lined, but yes, I think we'll have to remove you shortly. I think a drowning will work out nicely. You'll be missing, they'll find your scarves floating in the lake. Quite tragic. Although I will regret not having you here. You've certainly achieved your objective well enough.
Father Harlequinn did turn out rather well, did he not? I thought your plan to have me influence an orphan to be a tool for reason and logic from within the church was an insane one at the time, but I must say it seems to have worked. We need to plant more like him, Evangeline. Do tell me how your meeting went.
It went very well, Mary-Louise. A testament to you. He seems to be a reasonable and thoughtful man. I'm very proud of you and the work you've achieved. But I fear we may need to use him sooner than I thought.
Why's that?
I didn't come here to talk about Harlequinn. He raised a fine boy into an intelligent priest and placed him within the church. But I'm here to learn more about the plague. I know you didn't tell Harlequinn everything, I could tell that. What do you know about the disease?
I almost don't want to say because it's too unbelievable.
Mary-Louise, we're immortal. I sincerely doubt you can surprise me.
The disease would appear to be more like a curse. The initial victims seem to almost be marked. Their skin is highly flushed, followed by intense fever, accompanied by delusions and outbursts. The infected seem to have conversation with people that aren't in the room. Their ears wither into nothing more than bruised flesh protrusions. None of the victims last more than 100 hours after initial infection.
Victims? You mean patients?
From what I can tell, each village has a patient zero. Usually someone that has been attacked yet bears no memory of such an event. That victim usually spreads the disease to others, and yet strangely...
Strangely what?
Well, normally a fever would spread fastest among the young and the elderly.
The weakest members of the village.
Precisely. But this disease seems to almost target the stronger members after the initial infection. Mostly men, mostly in their early 20s.
And the saffron?
The elixir works exactly as you suspected, and I was secretly able to bring 3 infected boys back from the brink. I've heard they're almost fully recovered.
Why secretly?
The church has ruled these afflictions to be demonic in nature and is not aggressively pursuing a cure. Many are even afraid to seek help.
We'll need Harlequinn even more than I suspected. I need to find out who or what is creating these patient zeros. I'm hoping to travel north with Harlequinn.
My lady, I would not advise it. In fact, I think the time may come for you to leave Scotland soon.
And why would you say such a thing?
Because I fear you yourself might be suspected of being the progenitor of this disease. Too many people know who you are.
The progenitor? That's ridiculous. Bennu and I have taken every precaution to make our presence seem as ordinary as possible. How would remote village folk possibly know my name?
Evangeline, because the victims all scream your name before they die.
A troubled Evangeline left Mary-Louise after they dined together on the lunch Angus had sent. They did not leave without Evangeline giving Mary-Louise explicit directions on how to fake her own death, with a promise to have an ally waiting by the lake with a horse for her to make her escape to Edinburgh and eventually return home to Leviathan City. Although she was a believer of God and enjoyed the peace of the convent, she missed her underwater home greatly. Evangeline, meanwhile, raced back to Edinburgh, her mind a whirl of confusion.
This makes little sense. This disease, this plague, it's just like what afflicted the Skaradoth 500 years ago. But that's impossible. The Skaradoth were exterminated by the English. Could some of the Skaradoth have survived? I have taken so much of what Bennu has told me as fact. I believed that the English had massacred the Skaradoth. Evangeline, you fool. If he lied about the Skaradoth, what else could Bennu have been lying about? You've kept him as an ally all these years, thinking you could reform him and control him. Damn you.
A cold, angry calm came over her, and she forced herself to slow her horse as she fought to make the rage focus her thinking instead of overwhelm her. She knew what happened when rage overwhelmed her, and Edinburgh was too nice a city to burn.
You have been listening to The Rogue Plague, a Leviathan Chronicles story. This episode was made possible by the generous support of our listeners. To listen ad-free and get exclusive bonus content and behind-the-scenes footage, become a subscriber at patreon.com/Leviathan Chronicles. The Rogue Plague was written by Lafferty and Christof Laputka. Directed by Nobi Nakanishi. Produced by Robin Shaw. Executive produced by Amish Jani. Original music by Luke Allen. Sound design and editing by Luke Allen and Robin Shaw. Starring Laura Post as Evangeline Leifreik, Max Vogler as Bennu, William T.N. Hall as Harlequinn, Todd Butera as Angus McKay, Dawn Hyde as Sister Mary-Louise, and Samantha Parker as the narrator. For a full cast list and to learn more about our other audio productions, go to leviathanAudioProductions.com or follow us on social media. Thank you for supporting Leviathan Audio, and thank you for listening. Leviathan Audio Production.